Admiral Da-Yoon stood in the command center of Terra Station, the largest military base in human space. Giant screens covered the walls, showing hundreds of ships moving through space. Each dot of light represented a vessel rushing toward the same destination. She had never seen so many ships move at once. "Status report," she called out to her staff. Lieutenant Colonel Tae-hyun looked up from his computer terminal. He was the best engineer in the fleet, a quiet man who could solve impossible problems. "Ma'am, we have 247 ships confirmed and moving. 47 heavy cruisers, 156 transport vessels, 23 hospital ships, 12 engineering frigates, and 8 colony ships." Da-Eun felt her heart pound. Even she had not expected this many ships. "How many people?" 340,000 personnel total, Tae-hyun replied. "That includes Marines, medics, engineers, pilots, and civilian volunteers." On the main screen, a new ship appeared, then another. More vessels were still joining the fleet. "Admiral," said communications. "Officer Hae-won, we are getting reports from civilian shipping companies. They want to help too. Cargo ships, passenger liners, even private yachts are asking for permission to join the mission." Da-Eun closed her eyes for a moment. This was bigger than any military operation. This was an entire civilization deciding to act. "Grant permission to any ship that can make the journey safely," she ordered. "But make it clear, this is voluntary. No one has to come." "Yes, ma'am," Hae-won replied. "Ma'am, there's something else. We are getting messages from human colonies all over the galaxy. They are sending supply ships with food, medicine, and equipment. Some colonies are emptying their warehouses." Through the speakers, Da-Eun could hear radio chatter from the fleet. Captains were coordinating with each other, sharing supplies, making room for extra personnel. Everyone wanted to help. Captain Woo Jin's voice came through the communication system. "Command, this is Indomitable. We have modified our cargo bays to hold refugee families. Estimate we can carry 8,000 people if needed." "Confirmed, Indomitable," Da-Eun replied. "What's your crew status?" "Crew is giving up personal quarters for refugees, Admiral. Marines are setting up sleeping bags in hallways. Everyone wants to make room." Similar reports came from other ships. Humans were turning their vessels into refugee carriers. They were sharing their food, their beds, their space. No one complained about the inconvenience. Medical Commander So Young approached the Admiral. She was a small woman with gentle hands and fierce eyes. "Admiral, I need to brief you on the medical situation. The Volani are fragile. Their crystal bodies can crack under stress. We need to keep them calm and safe during transport." "What do you need?" Da-Eun asked. "I have ordered special cushioning for every transport bay, soft lighting, quiet areas, temperature control. My medical teams are studying Volani physiology. Right now, we will be ready." Da-Eun nodded. "Good. What about their world? Can we do anything to help the planet itself?" Tae-hyun looked up from his calculations. "Maybe, Admiral. I have been running numbers on the lunar orbit situation. If we could coordinate all our engineering ships, we might be able to move the moon back into a stable position." "Is that possible?" "I don't know," Tae-hyun admitted. "No one has ever tried to move a moon before. But our gravitational manipulation technology is very advanced. If we can get all 12 engineering frigates to work together, we might have enough power." "What are the risks?" Tae-hyun was quiet for a moment. "If we fail, we could make the situation worse. The moon might crash into the planet faster. Or we could damage our own ships. The gravitational forces involved are enormous." Da-Eun thought about it. They could play it safe and just evacuate people. That was the smart choice. That was what any other species would do. But humans had never been satisfied with just doing the smart thing. "Prepare the gravitational manipulation equipment," she ordered. "We will try to save the planet too." "Yes, ma'am," Tae-hyun said with a smile. Across the fleet, similar conversations were happening. Marine Operations Director Jae-sung was organizing his troops not for combat, but for rescue operations. His Marines were practicing carrying crystal beings without breaking them. They were learning Volani customs so they would not frighten the refugees. Remember, Jae-sung told his soldiers, these people are terrified. Their world is dying. We need to be gentle, patient, and kind. Treat every Vellani like they are your own family. The Marines nodded. These were tough soldiers who had fought in many battles. But now they were preparing to be heroes in a different way. Captain Wu Jin called a meeting with all his department heads. The Indomitable was one of the largest ships in the fleet, and it would play a key role in the mission. The journey to Yu, Serenity Prime normally takes 3 days, he told his officers. We need to do it in 2 days. That means taking dangerous shortcuts through unstable hyperspace lanes. His navigation officer looked worried. Captain, those lanes are marked as too dangerous for heavy ships. We could lose hull integrity, or worse. I know the risks, Wu Jin replied. But those people don't have 3 days. They have less than 70 hours now. What if we lose ships in hyperspace? Asked his engineering chief. Then the rest of us keep going, Wu Jin said simply. The mission is more important than any individual ship. His officers understood. This was what they had trained for their entire careers. Not to fight wars, but to save lives when it mattered. Meanwhile, on colonies throughout human space, ordinary people were doing extraordinary things. Factory workers stopped their regular jobs to manufacture emergency supplies. Doctors canceled their vacations to join medical teams. Pilots who had never served in the military volunteered to fly transport ships. On New Geneva, a farming colony, citizens loaded grain and vegetables onto cargo ships. They gave away months of food storage without asking for payment. These Vellani grow food for dozens of worlds, said Mayor Kim Soo. Now it's our turn to feed them. On Titan Base, engineers worked around the clock to modify civilian ships for refugee transport. They installed life support systems, sleeping areas, and medical bays. No one went home. No one took breaks. Every hour we save could mean more lives saved, said Chief Engineer Bo-Ram. Back on the flagship, Admiral Da-Yun received a priority message from Earth. It was from the President of the Terran Federation. Admiral, the President said on the recorded message, you have the full support of Earth and all human colonies. Use whatever resources you need, spend whatever it costs. The only acceptable outcome is saving every single Vellani life. Da-Yun felt proud to serve such a leader, but she also felt the enormous weight of responsibility. Over 2 million lives depended on her fleet. Ma'am, said Haewon, we are getting a transmission from the Galactic Council. They want to coordinate their evacuation efforts with ours. Put them through. Chancellor Vex Prime appeared on the main screen. Behind him, Da-Un could see other alien representatives arguing with each other. Admiral Da-Un, we need to discuss the evacuation plan. Our combined ships can save approximately 50,000 Vellani. How many can your fleet handle? Da-Un looked at the Chancellor calmly. All of them. I'm sorry, what did you say? All of them, Chancellor. We plan to evacuate every single Vellani from Serenity Prime. The alien representatives behind the Chancellor stopped arguing. They stared at the screen in shock. That's impossible, said Representative Zonkar. There are 2.3 million people on that world. Yes, sir. We know. But you only have a few dozen ships? We have 247 ships confirmed, with more joining every hour, Da-Un replied, plus civilian vessels and supply ships. The council chamber fell silent. No one had expected this. Even if you had 1,000 ships, Chancellor Vex Prime said slowly, the logistics would be impossible. Food, water, air, medical care for over 2 million refugees? We have calculated the requirements, Da-Un said. Our ships can handle... But the cost? Representative Clack 7 started to say. The cost doesn't matter, Da-Un interrupted. Lives matter, that's all. She ended the transmission before they could ask more questions. Tae-Hyun approached with a new report. Admiral, I have been monitoring long-range sensors. The situation at Serenity Prime is getting worse. The asteroid impacts are increasing. We might have even less time than we thought. Then we go faster, Da-Un said. Signal all ships. Maximum speed to Serenity Prime. We launch in 6 hours. Ma'am, some ships aren't ready yet. They need more time to load supplies and modify their cargo bays. Then they catch up with us later. We cannot wait. Every hour could cost lives. Around the galaxy, humans heard the news and made their choice. They chose to risk everything to save strangers. They chose to spend their wealth, their time, and possibly their lives for people they had never met. Because that was what humans did when faced with suffering. They did not calculate costs or measure risks. They simply acted. The largest rescue fleet in galactic history was about to depart. And somewhere in the darkness of space, 2.3 million crystal beings waited for salvation they did not even know was coming. The emergency alarm screamed through the Galactic Council building. Red lights flashed in every hallway. Council members from dozens of different worlds rushed to the main meeting room. Something very bad was happening somewhere in the galaxy. Hyun-Woo walked quickly through the marble corridors. He was the human representative to the Galactic Council. His black suit was neat and clean, and his face showed no emotion. Other aliens looked at him with curious eyes as he passed. Humans were still new to the galaxy. Most species did not know much about them yet. The meeting room was huge. It could hold representatives from 200 different worlds. Today, only 50 species had sent someone. The others were too far away to come quickly. At the center of the room stood a massive hologram projector. Right now it showed nothing but static. "Please take your seats," said Chancellor Vex Prime. He was a tall, thin creature with blue skin and 4 arms. His voice echoed through the room. "We have received an emergency transmission from Serenity Prime." Hyun-Woo sat in his assigned chair. Around him, other representatives whispered to each other in many different languages. The Zephyrians looked worried. Their feathers were turning dark colors. The Morganti kept clicking their claws on their chairs. Even the usually calm Altarians seemed nervous. The hologram projector hummed to life. A shimmering image appeared. In the center of the room, it showed a beautiful crystal being. Her body was made of clear purple stone that sparkled in the light. She was a Villani, one of the most peaceful species in the galaxy. But now, her crystal face showed pure terror. "My name is Crystal Singer Melody Prime," the image said. Her voice was like music, but sad music. "I speak for all Villani on Serenity Prime. We need help. Please. Anyone who can hear this, we need help right now." The image flickered. Behind the Crystal Singer, Hyun-Woo could see chaos. Other Villani were running around in panic. Some were carrying small crystal children. In the distance, the sky was filled with fire. "Our moon is falling," Melody Prime continued. 3 days ago, something hit it. We do not know what, but now it is moving closer to our planet. The gravity is pulling asteroids toward us. They are falling like rain. Soon, they will destroy everything. The hologram showed the sky above Serenity Prime. Huge rocks were falling from space. Each one left a trail of fire as it hit the atmosphere. When they crashed into the ground, they made explosions that could be seen from space. "We have 2 days and 18 hours, the Crystal Singer said. "After that, the asteroid rain will be too heavy. No one will survive. We have 2.3 million people on our world. We cannot save them all by ourselves. Our ships are too small. We only have 12 transport vessels." The image started to break up. Static filled parts of the hologram, but they could still hear Melody Prime's voice. "Please help us. We have never hurt anyone. We grow food for 40 different worlds. We have families. We have children. We do not want to die." The transmission ended. The room fell silent. Chancellor Vex Prime stood up. His 4 arms moved as he spoke. "The situation is clear. Serenity Prime will be destroyed in less than 3 days. We must act fast to save as many Villani as possible." Representative Zonkar of the Zephyrians was the first to speak. He was a bird-like creature with bright yellow feathers. "The Zephyrian Republic can send 3 evacuation ships. Each can carry 5,000 refugees. We can save 15,000 Villani." "The Morganti Empire will help," said Representative Clack 7. She looked like a giant insect with silver skin. "We can give shelter to 10,000 refugees on our space stations." but we cannot send ships to pick them up. One by one, other species made their offers. The Altarians promised food and medical supplies. The Centaurians offered 2 small cargo ships. The Draconis said they could take 5,000 refugees to their desert worlds. Hyun-Woo listened to each offer. He did quick math in his head. Altogether, the galaxy's great powers could save maybe 50,000 Villani. That was only 2% of the total population. More than 2 million people would die. Chancellor Vex Prime looked around the room. What about Earth? What can the Terran Federation offer? All eyes turned to Hyun-Woo. The human stood up slowly. His face was still calm, but his dark eyes were hard. We will handle it. Representative Zonkar fluffed his feathers. Handle what exactly? How many ships can you send? We will handle the situation, Hyun-Woo repeated. His voice was quiet but firm. But how many refugees can you take? Asked Clack 7. A few thousand? Maybe 10,000 if you pack them tight. Hyun-Woo looked at each representative. We will handle the entire situation. The room buzzed with confused voices. Representatives whispered to each other. Some laughed quietly. Humans were new to the galaxy. Everyone knew they came from a dangerous world, but they were still just one species. How could they handle something this big? Chancellor Vex Prime raised one of his hands. Representative Hyun-Woo, please be more specific. The Council needs exact numbers for coordination. Hyun-Woo pulled out a small communication device. He spoke into it quietly. The other representatives could not hear what he said. After a moment, he put the device away. Earth will save Serenity Prime, he said simply. Representative Zonkar's feathers turned red with anger. This is not a time for jokes. Over 2 million people are going to die. No, Hyun-Woo said. They are not. He started walking toward the Wamba exit. Other representatives called after him, asking questions, demanding answers. But the human did not stop. He reached the door and paused. The Terran Federation thanks the Council for bringing this to our attention, he said without turning around. We will take care of everything. Then he was gone. The room exploded with angry voices. Some representatives thought the human was crazy. Others thought he was lying. A few wondered if Earth had some secret weapon they did not know about. Chancellor Vex Prime tried to restore order. We must continue with our own plans, he announced. Clearly, Earth cannot handle this alone. We will coordinate our evacuation efforts and save who we can. But deep in space, near the edge of human territory, something was already happening. Warning lights flashed on every military base and civilian spaceport. Emergency broadcasts went out to every human colony and space station. Admiral Daewon received the alert while she was having dinner with her family. She read the message twice, then stood up from the table. Her husband and children looked at her with worried faces. I have to go, she said softly. Something terrible is happening to some good people. We are going to help them. How long will you be gone? Her daughter asked. Yoon kissed her child's forehead. As long as it takes to bring everyone home. Safe. Within 1 hour of Hyun-Woo's message, every available ship in the Terran Defense Fleet received movement orders. Transport captains canceled their cargo runs. Hospital ships prepared for mass casualties. Engineering vessels loaded special equipment that had never been used before. Captain Woo Jin stood on the bridge of his heavy cruiser, the TFS Indomitable. Around him, his crew worked frantically to prepare for departure. Through the large window, he could see dozens of other ships doing the same thing. Sir, said his communications officer, we are getting reports from every sector. The entire fleet is mobilizing. How many ships total? Woo Jin asked. Still counting, sir, but it looks like over 200 vessels so far. Maybe more. Woo Jin nodded. He had served in the Terran fleet for 20 years. He had never seen anything like this. The biggest rescue operation in human history was about to begin. Set course for Serenity Prime, he ordered. Maximum speed. Sir, that will require dangerous hyperspace jumps. We could lose ships. Then we better not lose any, Woo Jin replied. Those people are counting on us. Across human space, The same scene played out on hundreds of ships. Families said goodbye to their loved ones. Crews worked through the night to prepare. Everyone knew the mission was dangerous. Everyone knew it was nearly impossible. But no one even thought about not going. Because that was what humans did. When people needed help, they helped. It did not matter if those people were human or alien. It did not matter how dangerous the mission was. It did not matter what it cost. The Galactic Council thought Earth would send a few ships and save a few thousand refugees. They had no idea what was really coming. They did not understand that when humans decided to save people, they saved everyone. The fleet began to move. The space around Serenity Prime had been quiet for thousands of years. The Volani were a peaceful people who rarely saw visitors. Their world was beautiful and calm, with crystal cities that sparkled in the light of their gentle sun. But now, everything had changed. Crystal-Singer Melody Prime stood on the highest tower of their capital city. Around her, the sky burned with falling asteroids. Each impact shook the ground and made the crystal buildings ring like bells. In the distance, she could see massive craters where rocks from space had hit the surface. "How much time do we have left?" she asked her aide, a younger Volani named Brighttone. 16 hours, Crystal Singer. Maybe less. The impacts are getting worse every minute." Melody Prime felt her crystal heart grow heavy. Their 12 transport ships had been working non-stop, but they had only evacuated 30,000 people. Over 2 million Volani remained on the dying world. She had sent the emergency message to the Galactic Council, but she knew it was too late. No one could help them now. Suddenly, alarms started ringing throughout the city. But these were different alarms. These were the warnings that meant ships were coming. "Crystal Singer," Brighttone called out excitedly. "Look at the sky." Melody Prime looked up and gasped. The darkness of space was filling with lights. Dozens of lights, then hundreds. Ships were appearing out of hyperspace faster than she could count them. "Who are they?" she whispered. Her question was answered when a voice came through the communication system. It spoke in perfect Volani, though with a strange accent. "Serenity Prime, this is Captain Wu Jin of the Terran Federation ship Indomitable. We are here to help. Please respond." Melody Prime's hand shook as she activated her transmitter. This is Crystal Singer Melody Prime. We hear you. But who are you? How many ships do you have?" "We are humans from Earth, Crystal Singer. We received your distress call. We have brought 267 ships and 340,000 personnel. We are here to evacuate your entire population." Melody Prime almost dropped her communicator. "Your entire... Did you say 267 ships?" "Yes, ma'am, and more are coming. We understand you have approximately 2.3 million people who need evacuation. We can handle that." Around the galaxy, other species had been watching Serenity Prime through long-range sensors. When the human fleet arrived, they could not believe what they were seeing. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Admiral Corwis stared at his tactical display. "This cannot be correct. The computer says there are over 250 human ships at Serenity Prime." "The sensors are working fine, Admiral," his aide replied. "It appears the humans brought their entire fleet." "Impossible. No species commits that many resources to a rescue mission. The cost would be enormous." But the sensors did not lie. The human fleet filled the space around Serenity Prime like a metal cloud. Captain Wu Jin stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, coordinating the massive operation. His ship alone could evacuate 8,000 Volani, but he was just one captain among hundreds. "Status report from all vessels," he ordered. The reports came in quickly. Every ship was ready. Transport bays had been converted into refugee areas with soft lighting and gentle temperature. Medical teams had studied Volani physiology and prepared special equipment. Marines had practiced carrying crystal beings without causing damage. "Sir," said his communications officer Minho, "we are receiving evacuation requests from all over the planet. The Volani are organizing themselves into groups at major cities." "Good. Begin landing operations immediately. I want shuttles and transport pods on the surface within the hour." The human fleet moved with precision that amazed everyone watching. Ships took positions over different continents. Landing craft launched toward population centers. Medical ships prepared to receive. Injured Villani. Admiral Daun coordinated everything from her flagship. She watched as hundreds of small craft descended toward the planet's surface like silver rain. Tae-hyun, she called to her chief engineer. What's the status on the moon stabilization project? Tae-hyun looked up from his complex calculations. All 12 engineering frigates are in position, Admiral. But I need to warn you again, this has never been attempted. We could make the situation worse. Or we could save their entire world, Da-yoon replied. Are your teams ready? Yes, ma'am. We have been running simulations for the past 18 hours. If we can coordinate our gravitational manipulators perfectly, we might be able to nudge the moon back into a stable orbit. Then prepare to attempt it as soon as we have evacuated the populated areas. On the planet's surface, something remarkable was happening. Human marines and medics were working with Villani families, loading them carefully into transport shuttles. The humans had learned to move slowly and speak softly, because sudden movements could crack a Villani's crystal body. Marine Commander Jae-sung knelt beside a young Villani child who was crying. The child's crystal body was a beautiful shade of blue, but it was flickering with fear. It's okay, little one, Jae-sung said gently. We are here to take you somewhere safe. You and your family will be together. The child's parent, an adult Villani named Harmony 7, approached carefully. Are you really going to save all of us? Not just some of us? All of you, Jae-sung promised. Every single person on this world. But why? We are not your people. You do not know us. Jae-sung smiled. You don't have to be our people. You just have to be people. This conversation was happening all over the planet. Villani who had given up hope were discovering that strangers from across the galaxy had come to save them. Not for money, not for political reasons, but simply because it was the right thing to do. Medical Commander So Young had set up field hospitals near the major evacuation sites. Many Villani had been injured by asteroid impacts. Their crystal bodies showed cracks and chips that caused them great pain. Bring me the medical data on Villani healing, she told her staff. I want to understand exactly how to help them. Ma'am, we have been studying their physiology, but we have never treated crystal-based life forms before. Then we learn fast, So Young replied. These people are counting on us. Her medical teams worked quickly to develop new treatment methods. They learned that Villani bodies could heal themselves if given the right environment, quiet, low light, and specific mineral solutions. Set up healing chambers on all the hospital ships, So Young ordered, and make sure the transport ships have quiet areas where injured Villani can rest. Meanwhile, the evacuation continued at an incredible pace. Human efficiency amazed the Villani. Ships landed, loaded passengers, and departed in perfect coordination. There was no panic, no confusion. Everything moved like a well-rehearsed dance. Diplomatic liaison Yoonji was working directly with Villani leaders to coordinate the evacuation. She had spent years studying alien cultures and understood how to communicate respectfully with different species. Crystal Singer, Melody Prime, she said. We need to prioritize the evacuation order. Children and injured first, then families, then everyone else. We understand, Melody Prime replied. But I must ask, how will you feed all of us? How will you give us air to breathe? We are so many and your ships were not designed for crystal beings. We have prepared for everything, Yoonji assured her. Our engineers have modified the life support systems. Our supply ships are carrying food that is safe for your people. And we have medical teams standing by to help anyone who gets sick during the journey. Melody Prime looked at this human woman who was risking her life for strangers. Why are you doing this? What do you gain? Yoonji thought for a moment. We gain the knowledge that we did the right thing. That's enough. As the hours passed, the evacuation numbers grew. 100,000 Villani evacuated, then 500,000, then 1 million. The human ships were filling up with refugees, but somehow there was always room for more. Captain Wu Jin received regular reports from his evacuation teams. Sir, we have loaded 7,800 Villani so far. The families are settling in well. They seem amazed by our quarters. Any problems? No, sir. The crew is sharing everything they have. I saw Chief Petty Officer Sanwoo give his own bed to a Villani family. He's sleeping in the corridor. Similar acts of kindness were happening on every ship. Humans gave up their personal space, their food rations, and their comfort to make room for the refugees. No one complained. No one asked for special treatment. The other galactic species were monitoring the rescue operation through long-range sensors. They could not believe what they were seeing. The humans have evacuated over 1.5 million Villani in less than 12 hours, reported Chancellor Vex Prime to the Galactic Council. This is impossible. Their organization is perfect, added Representative Zonkar. Every ship knows exactly what to do. There is no wasted motion, no confusion. But the cost, said Representative Clack 7. They must be spending billions of credits on fuel alone, not to mention the wear on their ships, the food and medical supplies, the personnel costs. Maybe they don't care about the cost, suggested a younger council member. The older representatives looked at her like she was crazy. Of course everyone cared about cost. Resources were limited. You had to make smart choices. But they were learning that humans made different choices. Back at Serenity Prime, Admiral Dae-Yun received the report she had been waiting for. Admiral, said Communications Officer Hae-Wan, we have evacuated 2.1 million Villani. Only 200,000 remain on the planet, mostly in remote areas. Chief Engineer Tae-Hyun stood in the engineering bay of his frigate, watching 12 different screens at once. Each screen showed the status of an engineering ship positioned around Serenity Prime's dying moon. The gravitational readings were beyond anything he had ever seen before. All ships report ready, announced his assistant engineer Do-hyun. Gravitational manipulators are charged to full power. Tae-hyun took a deep breath. No one had ever tried to move a moon before. The math said it might be possible, but math and reality were sometimes very different things. Admiral Da-eun, this is Engineering Team Leader Tae-hyun. We are ready to attempt lunar orbit correction. Admiral Da-eun's voice came through the communication system from her flagship. Understood, Tae-hyun. You have permission to proceed. All evacuation ships maintain safe distance from gravitational manipulation field. Around the planet, 267 human ships moved to safer positions. They were still loading the last refugees, but they needed to stay away from the dangerous gravitational forces that were about to be unleashed. Beginning gravitational pulse in 60 seconds, Tae-hyun announced to all ships. All engineering vessels must fire simultaneously. Even 1 second of delay could cause the operation to fail. On the planet below, the last 50,000 Villani watched the sky with hope and fear. Asteroids were still falling like deadly rain. Each impact sent shockwaves through their crystal cities. But above them, the human ships worked frantically to load. Every last person. Marine Commander Jae-sung was leading the final evacuation efforts in the remote mountain regions. His teams had been working for 15 straight hours without rest. Their powered armor was covered in crystal dust and their faces showed exhaustion, but they kept moving. There's a family trapped under rockfall, reported Corporal Young-soo. 2 adults and 3 children. The rocks are too heavy for them to move, but too unstable for us to blast. Can we dig them out? Maybe, but it will take time we don't have. The gravitational pulse starts in 40 minutes. Jae-sung looked at the trapped family through the rubble. The Villani were conscious but scared. Their crystal bodies were starting to crack from stress. We make time, he decided. Begin careful excavation. Use hand tools only. We get them out. His Marines began the delicate work of moving rocks by hand. Each stone had to be carefully placed so it wouldn't cause a collapse. It was dangerous. Slow work. Meanwhile, in orbit, the engineering teams prepared for their impossible task. 30 seconds to gravitational pulse, Tae-hyun announced. All ships confirm ready status. Engineering frigate Harmony ready. Engineering frigate Stability ready. Engineering frigate Hope ready. One by one, all 12 ships confirmed they were prepared. Tae-hyun watched his instruments carefully. The gravitational field around the moon was chaotic and dangerous. One mistake could tear apart their ships. 10 seconds. All crews brace for gravitational stress. The countdown reached 0. Fire! 12 engineering ships fired their gravitational manipulators at exactly the same moment. Invisible waves of force reached out toward the dying moon. The space around Serenity Prime lit up with energy that had never been seen before, on every ship. Humans felt the gravitational stress. It was like being pressed down by a giant hand. Some crew members fell to their knees. Others held on to whatever they could find. But the ships held together. Pulse maintaining coherence, Do-hyun reported. Lunar position beginning to shift. Through their sensors, they could see the moon slowly moving. It was working. The gravitational manipulators were actually pushing the massive object back toward a stable orbit. But then something went wrong. "Warning!" shouted Engineer Hayron from the frigate Determination. "Gravitational cascade forming. The field is becoming unstable." Tae-hyun's screens showed the problem immediately. The moon's gravity was interacting with their artificial field in unexpected ways. Instead of moving smoothly, space itself was starting to twist. "If the cascade continues, it will tear the planet apart," Do-hyun said quietly. Tae-hyun had seconds to make a decision. He could stop the pulse and let the moon continue its death spiral. That would save his ships but condemn the planet. Or he could risk everything by increasing power to push through the cascade. "All ships, increase power to 120%, he ordered. "Sir, that's beyond safe limits," Do-hyun warned. "We could lose ships. Those people trusted us to save their world. We don't let them down." Across the engineering fleet, humans pushed their ships beyond design limits. Engine rooms filled with warning alarms. Power systems overloaded. But the crews kept working. On the frigate Courage, Chief Engineer Nam Woo watched his gravitational manipulator overheat. "Power core temperature critical, we need to shut down." "Negative," replied Captain Solbin. "Maintain power. If we stop now, the cascade will destroy everything." "Captain, we could lose the ship." "Then we lose the ship. Those people are more important." Similar conversations happened on every engineering vessel. Human crews chose to risk their lives rather than abandon the mission. The gravitational cascade reached its peak. Space itself seemed to bend and twist around the moon. But then, slowly, the artificial field began to stabilize. The 12 engineering ships were winning their battle against the laws of physics. "Cascade collapsing," reported Tae-hyun. "Lunar. Orbit stabilizing, it's working." On the planet below, the asteroid rain suddenly stopped. Chunks of rock that had been falling toward the surface were caught by the moon's restored gravity and pulled away into space. The death sentence hanging over Serenity Prime had been lifted. Marine Commander Jae-sung felt the ground stop shaking under his feet. Around him, his team had just pulled the last trapped family from the rubble. The 5 crystal beings were scared, but alive. "Sir," reported Corporal Young-soo, "the asteroid impacts have stopped completely." "Confirmed," added Sergeant Minji. "Long-range sensors show the moon is back in stable orbit." Jae-sung helped the rescued family to their feet. The Villani children were crying, but they were tears of relief now. "Is it over?" asked the father, a Villani named Clearsong. "Are we safe?" "You're safe," Jae-sung promised. "Your world is safe. The humans fixed your moon." "Fixed our moon?" Clearsong could hardly believe it. "How is that possible?" "I don't know how," Jae-sung admitted. "But our engineers are very good at impossible things." Admiral Da-eun received the final reports from across the fleet. The mission was a complete success. They had evacuated 2.3 million Villani without losing a single life. They had saved the planet itself. And they had done it all in less than 48 hours. "Casualties?" she asked. "None, Admiral," reported Medical Commander So-young. "Some crew injuries from gravitational stress, but everyone is alive. All refugees are healthy and safe." "Ship damage? 3 engineering frigates need major repairs," said Tae-hyun. "But all vessels are spaceworthy. We can make it home." Da-eun felt a weight lift from her shoulders. They had done something that would be remembered forever. But more importantly, they had done the right thing. "Begin return operations for refugee families who want to go home," she ordered, "and prepare reconstruction teams. These people will need help rebuilding their cities. Crystal singer Melody Prime stood once again on the highest tower of her capital city. But now, instead of watching her world die, she was watching it live. The sky was clear. The ground was still. Her people were coming home. A human shuttle landed nearby. From it stepped Admiral Daun, accompanied by several other officers. Melody Prime went to meet them personally. "Admiral Daun," she said, "I do not have words for what you have done. You saved our entire civilization." "We did what anyone should do when people need help," Daun replied simply. "No," Melody Prime said firmly. "We sent distress calls to dozens of species. They offered to save thousands. You saved millions. You saved our world itself." "Our engineers are very stubborn," Daun said with a small smile. "They don't like to give up." "Why?" Melody Prime asked. "Why did your people do this? What do you gain?" Daun looked around at the Crystal City, at the Villani families returning to their homes, at the clear sky where death had been falling just hours before. "We gained the knowledge that when it mattered most, we chose to help instead of turning away. That's worth more than anything else." Medical teams were already setting up field hospitals to help Villani, who had been injured during the crisis. Engineering teams were surveying the damage to the cities and planning reconstruction efforts. Supply ships were unloading food, water, and building materials. Captain Wu Jin coordinated the ongoing operations from his ship. Even though the emergency was over, the humans were staying to help with the cleanup. "Sir," asked his executive, "Officer Li Jin, how long will we remain in the system?" "As long as they need us," Wu Jin replied. "We didn't come all this way just to drop people off and leave. We came to help." Throughout the Villani cities, something beautiful was happening. Crystal beings who had thought they would die were celebrating life. Families were reunited. Children were playing in the streets again. And everywhere humans were working alongside Villani to repair the damage. The sight amazed observers from other species. The Galactic Council had expected a simple evacuation. Instead, they were watching the complete restoration of an entire civilization. "They're staying," reported Chancellor Vex Prime to the Council. "The humans are staying to help rebuild." 3 months after the rescue of Serenity Prime, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council looked different than it ever had before. Representatives from 200 worlds had come for this special meeting. The gallery was filled with journalists, diplomats and observers who had traveled from across the galaxy. But today, the most important guests were the Villani delegation. Crystal singer Melody Prime walked slowly to the center of the hall. Her crystal body sparkled under the lights, but now it was a healthy sparkle, not the desperate flickering of fear. Behind her came 12 other Villani representatives, including several children who had been saved during the evacuation. Chancellor Vex Prime stood to address the assembly. "Today we gather to hear testimony about the events at Serenity Prime. This rescue operation has changed how the galaxy thinks about humanitarian aid." In his assigned seat, Representative Hyun Woo sat quietly. Around him, other delegates whispered and pointed. Everyone knew the humans had done something unprecedented, but few understood exactly what. Melody Prime reached the center of the hall and began to speak. Her musical voice carried to every corner of the room. 3 months ago, my world was dying. Our moon had been knocked from orbit by a rogue asteroid. Rocks were falling from the sky like deadly rain. We had less than 3 days before our planet became completely uninhabitable. The hall was completely silent. Everyone knew this story, but hearing it from a survivor made it real. We sent emergency messages to the Galactic Council and to individual species begging for help. The response was limited. The generous offers we received could have saved perhaps 50,000 of our people. We have 2.3 million citizens. Representative Zonkar shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The Zephyrians had been proud of their offer to save 15,000 refugees. We prepared to die, Melody Prime continued. We gathered our families together. We sang our final songs. We accepted that our civilization would end. She paused, and in the silence, many delegates realized they had been prepared to accept that outcome too. Then, the humans came. The words hung in the air like a challenge. They came not with 3 ships or 5 ships or even 20 ships. They came with 267 vessels. They brought 340,000 of their people. They risked their lives, spent their resources, and gave everything they had to save strangers they had never met. Around the hall, delegates began to understand the scale of what had happened. But that was not enough for them. Melody Prime said, her voice growing stronger. They did not just evacuate our people, they saved our world itself. Their engineers moved our moon back into orbit. They stopped the asteroid rain, they gave us back our home. She gestured to the other Villani with her. These are not refugees. These are survivors. We are alive because humans decided that our lives were worth saving. A young Villani child stepped forward. Her crystal body was a beautiful shade of green, and she looked up at the towering alien representatives without fear. My name is Harmony 4, she said in her small musical voice. The human Marines carried me to safety when the rocks were falling. They gave me their food. They let me sleep in their beds. They treated me like I was their own child. Representative Clack 7 leaned forward. Child, how many humans helped your family? All of them, Harmony 4 replied simply. Every human we met helped us. Chancellor Vex Prime cleared his throat. Crystal Singer Melody Prime, can you explain the scope of the human assistance? We need specific numbers for our records. Melody Prime activated a holographic display. It showed images from Serenity Prime during the rescue operation. The assembled delegates gasped at what they saw. 267 human ships, she reported. They evacuated all 2.3 million of our people without losing a single life. They fed us, clothed us, gave us medical care. They modified their ships to accommodate our crystal physiology. They studied our culture to avoid offending us. The display showed human Marines carefully carrying crystal children. It showed human engineers working alongside Villani to rebuild damaged cities. It showed human doctors treating injured refugees with gentle hands. And when the emergency was over, Melody Prime continued, they did not leave. They stayed for 2 months to help us rebuild. They shared their technology. They taught us new construction methods. They helped us create early warning systems to prevent future disasters. Representative Zonkar stood up. Crystal Singer, surely the humans, asked for something in return? Trade agreements, mining rights, strategic alliances? They asked for nothing, Melody Prime replied. When our chancellor offered to pay them, they refused. When we offered trade agreements, they said we should focus on rebuilding first. When we offered them territorial concessions, they told us, our world belongs to us. The hall erupted in confused murmuring. This violated everything the galactic community understood about interspecies relations. Chancellor Vex Prime called for order. Representative Hyunwoo, the council would like to hear from Earth about this operation. Can you explain your government's motivations? Hyunwoo stood slowly. He looked around the hall at all the alien faces staring at him. Some looked curious. Others looked suspicious. Many looked confused. The motivation is simple, he said. People were in danger, we helped them. But the cost, insisted Representative Clack 7. Your species must have spent billions of credits. Your ship suffered damage, your personnel were at risk. What did Earth gain? Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment, thinking about how to explain something that seemed obvious to humans but foreign to many other species. We gained the knowledge that when it mattered most, we chose to help instead of turning away. We gained the friendship of the Villani people. We gained the respect of our children, who saw their parents do the right thing. Those things are worth more than credits. But surely there must be economic benefits, pressed Representative Mortai of the Centaurian Republic. Some strategic advantage? The strategic advantage, Hyunwoo replied, is living in a galaxy where people help each other, where disasters bring out the best in civilizations, not the worst, where children like Harmony 4 grow up knowing that strangers care about their lives. He gestured toward the Villani delegation. These people grow food for 40 different worlds. They are artists, scientists, philosophers, and teachers. Their culture has enriched the galaxy for thousands of years. Letting them die would have made us all poorer. Admiral Dawoon, who had been invited as a special guest, stood to address the council. If I may add something, Chancellor, the rescue operation was not ordered by our government. It was not planned by our military command. It began with ordinary humans who heard about people in danger and decided to help. She activated her own display, showing images of human colonies loading supply ships with food and medicine. Factory workers stopped their regular jobs to manufacture emergency equipment. Farmers gave away months of food storage. Civilian pilots volunteered to fly dangerous missions. Doctors canceled their vacations. Parents said goodbye to their children, not knowing if they would return. The display showed families at spaceports, human crew members giving up their quarters for refugees, engineers working around the clock to modify ships. This was not a government operation. This was an entire civilization choosing to act. Representative Zonkar looked confused. But how did you coordinate so many ships and personnel so quickly without central planning? Because we all agreed on what needed to be done, Daun explained. Save everyone. That was the plan. Every human understood it. A new voice spoke from the gallery. Captain Wu Jin had been given permission to address the council. Honorable representatives, I commanded one of the rescue ships. My crew gave up their personal quarters for Villani families. They shared their food rations. They worked without sleep for 3 days straight. I never had to order them to do any of this. They did it because they wanted to. He paused, looking around the hall. During the operation, I asked one of my engineers why he was working so hard to help strangers. He told me, because someday my children might need strangers to help them. That is how humans think. Chancellor Vex Prime nodded slowly. The Council recognizes the unprecedented nature of this rescue operation. But what does Earth propose for the future? How should the galaxy respond to similar crises? Hyunwoo stood again. Earth proposes the establishment of the Serenity Prime Doctrine. When any world faces disaster, the galactic community should respond with everything they have, not just what they can spare. That would be enormously expensive, protested several representatives. At once. Yes, Hyunwoo agreed. Saving lives is expensive, but the cost of letting people die is higher. He activated a new display showing statistics from across the galaxy. Every year, dozens of worlds face natural disasters, system failures, or other emergencies. Most receive minimal aid. Millions of sentient beings die who could have been saved if we had acted with full commitment. The numbers were sobering. The assembled delegates realized they had been accepting preventable deaths as normal. Earth volunteers to establish the first galactic humanitarian fleet, Hyunwoo announced. Admiral Da-eun will command a permanent rapid response force equipped to handle major disasters anywhere in the galaxy. And the cost? Asked Chancellor Vex Prime. Earth will bear the initial costs, but we hope other worlds will contribute ships, personnel, and resources.